When I come to this country, you weren't much older than your boy there. We had rough times. Me and other men that are mostly dead now. I got a bad shoulder yet from a Cheyenne arrowhead. We made this country. Found it and we made it. Worked blood and empty bellies. Cattle we brought in were hazed off by Indians and rustlers. Don't bother you much anymore because we handled them. We made a safe range out of this. Some of us died doing it. We made it. And you say we have no right to the range. The men that did the work and ran the risks have no rights?
I'm Frank Deedy. I'm a rancher, cowboy, and an agricultural real estate broker. I specialize in selling cattle ranch properties throughout the Rocky Mountain West. And the reason I'm here today is to talk to you a little bit about what I believe to be somewhat of a threatened lifestyle and infringements upon our Western culture here in the Rocky Mountain West.
I'm Dennis Dittmanson, superintendent here at Dinosaur National Monument. Dinosaur was first established in 1908, piece of legislation. I find it real hard to conceive of the Mantle family as being intimidated.
My name is Lonnie Mantle. My nickname is Nav for Navajo. I was born in northwestern Colorado, Dinosaur National Monument. The National Park Service has spent 30 years using subversive methods to try to destroy this old Mantle Ranch and the ranching operation.
I'm John Melhoff, Area Manager of the White River Resource Area located here in Meeker, Colorado. I am the responsible official to manage about 1.5 million acres of public land owned by the American citizens of the United States.
I'm Tim Mantle. We're at Piance Creek, Rio Blanco County, Colorado. My family and I are involved in the ranching business in cattle. That means that we convert forage to pounds of beef, which you see on the shelf. We also conduct a ranching operation in what is now known as Dinosaur National Monument on a ranch that my father homesteaded in 1919.
I would not characterize a relationship with the Mantle family as one of conflict. Our relationship with the Mantle family is a business relationship.
We have had a considerable amount of trouble with the federal government in that area, primarily because we do have grazing permits with the federal government. The federal government took me to federal court and accused me of having cattle in trespass. I was faced with a stiff fine and jail time. Then we were threatened with a termination of our grazing permits.
I'm Dean Mantle, living in Colorado, northwestern Colorado. And nowadays, why, I guess you're always arguing with those guys on what you can do and can't do when you ought to be out there taking care of your cows and making water holes and spraying weeds and taking care of your lifestyle rather than having to argue with everybody on what you can and you can't do.
Our relationship is business oriented. We set objectives and goals, the Mantles set objectives and goals, and we negotiate the outcomes to accomplish people's our objectives. But we are responsible to manage the public's resources. Those resources belong to the American public. And we are tasked with doing that to the best of our ability, and we use our best science and our best good neighbor philosophy as we can to get that done.
But down there on that park, you can't camp on it, you can't do anything on it. It's just kind of sits there in limbo. Nobody gets any good out of it. So they want the cows out of there too, of course. So it just kind of, I don't know. I guess they want to just block it off and nobody use it.
And what happens with, like, if they were to do that Where would you go with all your cattle, and what would you do?
Oh, we'd have to sell them or find pasture elsewhere, and pasture's getting hard to find and come by.
In response to the question about why grazing should be eliminated at Dinosaur National Monument, we need to do that because within the context of the mission and mandate of the National Park Service, it's not appropriate. We're here to preserve and protect natural processes. For example, elk grazing would be considered a natural process where the grazing of domestic cattle would not.
Superintendent Dennis Huffman's favorite comment was that Mantles treat that property, meaning the dinosaur monument and the livestock permit area, he said they treat that as if they owned it. Well, if you're going to run cattle on it and you take a lot of pride in it and you take care of it, why not think that maybe you have some ownership in it? Be proud of it. It sure as hell looks better than what the Park Service does with what they claim that they own, that we're not supposed to use and you're not supposed to use and nobody is supposed to use. They don't want you to use any of it. They want to have it for their own private little bailiwick, and nobody else can have any use out of it. The story goes that when my dad got out of the Army, discharged from the Army in 1919, he bought him a saddle horse and a pack horse and got him a few groceries and rode over here to this area and wrapped his Uncle Sam Army uniform up with a big rock in the middle of him and threw him in the river. He had all the people he could stand.
Charlie Mantle spent a lifetime down there raising these kids, put them through school, taught us how to ranch. We taught our kids how to ranch, and like Tim's boy Dean, Tim doesn't even want him to be down there because he doesn't want him to go through the hell that he went through.
The federal government, the National Park Service people, with a supposed terrorist-like activity complete with armed guards, came into the dinosaur area and destroyed some of our spring diversion boxes and pipelines. As a result of this terrorist activity and the threat of taking our livelihood from us, we filed a lawsuit with the federal government, a takings lawsuit.
So the cowboys that are out here today, I mean, they don't fit. Where do they go? You know, these are kind of an independent, hard-working sort of folks that'll put in those 14, 16-hour days, day after day after day, and never complain. But you can't put them flipping hamburgers. They're not going to be very happy. That's a part of our culture that could disappear if the ranches here in the West lose their grazing rights. And as a result of lost their grazing rights, we're going to need as many cowboys. And and I know from my association with people back east, they like to hang around with cowboys when they can. But if the cowboys don't have any place to work, there aren't going to be any cowboys anymore. And that's one of the things that really worries us.